Decolonising the University of Oxford. What is the colonial context of the University of Oxford? The University of Oxford is one of the oldest, most prestigious universities in the world, so it is no surprise it is in need of decolonising. There is evidence of teaching as early as 1096, making it the oldest university in the English-speaking world and the world's second oldest university in continuous operation. Before the process of decolonisation, it is important to take into account its historical and colonial context. Britain emerged through and alongside imperialism. As a result, Britain was built on the ideology of national belonging and white supremacy. This paved the way for white elites and colonisers, while diminishing the lives of non-European descendants. Therefore, we can say that the University of Oxford is in a privileged position given its deep-rooted links to colonialism, as well as the role it played in training political and business elites throughout the colonial era. What is the colonial context of the University of Oxford? The Oxford and Colonialism Working Group provides an insight to the colonial context of the University of Oxford. It was created in the spring of 2016 in an effort to reflect on the university's historic ties with Great Britain's colonial past, and the ways in which the university's colonial legacies reflect on the present and their vision of the university's future. It is fair to say that while the university already had a policy on race and diversity issues, it had taken a back seat in debates over colonial legacies until then. The creation of their website, History of the Oxford and Colonialism Project, is their first step. It aims to offer critical and constructive viewpoints on the historical relationship between the university and colonialism, and on how this has affected and continues to affect the collegiate university's architecture, admission and recruitment processes, and curriculum throughout the university. The viewpoints were gathered in a decentralised manner through appeals to divisions, departments, and colleges, as well as individual group members, to populate the website on the basis of the internal debates. In doing so, overall, the ambition is to encourage debates around the issues of colonialism in the university and explore the boundary between past and present-day colonialism and coloniality. Why does the University of Oxford need decolonising? During my research into the University of Oxford, I discovered the St. John's and the Colonial Past project on the university's website. The project provides one example of Oxford colleges and their connections with colonialism and slavery. The College of St. John the Baptist was founded in 1555 by Sir Thomas White, a wealthy London merchant tailor. The first members of the new college then took up residence in 1557. Most medieval colleges had been established by churchmen. However, St. John's was the first in Oxford to be founded by a merchant. A research associate of the project, Dr. Mishka Sinha, proposed 4 categories for investigation: people, money, objects, and buildings. Firstly, people includes alumni, fellows, benefactors, colonial administrators, and former colonial subjects. Secondly, money references direct benefactions to the college, in addition to inheritance, legacies, or incomes that enabled individuals to study at or afterwards that benefit the college in some way, whose sources are linked to colonial trade, imperialism, and/or slavery. Thirdly, objects refer to objects owned and held by the college, including college silver, coins and medals, paintings and other art, furniture, ceramics, and manuscript and book collections. Lastly, buildings and land include buildings, gardens, land within the main college site or owned by the college, and individual architectural or decorative features. Sometimes several categories closely interlinked and each with a point of relevance for St. John's colonial past. For example, Richard Rawlinson, an alumnus, is one of the college's biggest benefactors. Rawlinson's family wealth was connected with both the East India and West India trade, and his name and material remains are closely attached to important college buildings. Secondly, the objects connected to Rawlinson all contain rich possibilities for research and investigation, some available, some missing, but vouched for by records. For instance, a silver medal inscribed with East India Company's arms, left to Richard by his mother's will, as well as a silver tankyard given to St. John's by Richard's brother Thomas Rawlinson, also an alumnus of the college, who invested his wealth into the South Sea Company, which was closely associated with the Atlantic slave trade. As the project is relatively new, the university agrees a great deal is still to be done. For example, a discovery has been made of few names on the Legacies of British Slavery database who are alumni or benefactors of St. John's, but these only represent the tip of the iceberg. There may be later generations of descendants or legatees who benefited from slavery and gave money to St. John's, who had different family names from the slave owners listed on the database. It is clear that institutions such as St. John's and Exeter College, another example on the slide, have a responsibility to engage with their own historical past, however uncomfortable, to acknowledge how the colleges participated in a culture of slave ownership and to promote a culture of transparency in the modern age.
What are the challenges around decolonising your example? Decolonising universities, and in this case the University of Oxford, is a highly contested practice. It is undeniably important to acknowledge the institution's association with colonisation and the ongoing effects this has caused. However, the methods used for its decolonisation have been highly contested, therefore making it a more challenging task. For example, it has been argued that the removal of statues and monuments, such as the Cecil Rhodes statue in Oxford, isn't just an action of acknowledging and contesting colonial legacies, but rather is erasing the past and therefore disparaging the country's history. Additionally, many efforts have been made to diversify the university's population, focusing entirely on representation and admissions. However, this does not address the inequalities that are engendered within the university, as well as addressing the impact that colonialism and racism has played in the history of the institution and its admission patterns. And finally, decolonisation is a complex process which requires structural change at multiple levels of society. It cannot be established by just a few academics or a small proportion of students. It requires the persistent efforts of all groups within society.
Can you give any suggestions around how the University of Oxford might be decolonised? The first step when decolonising any institution is to acknowledge and recognise their association with colonialism, and therefore the role that slavery and labour from the colonised world has played in establishing and sustaining their resources. It's important to question things like the name of the institution. Where has this name come from? Where has the funding behind the institution come from? Are there links between the university's funding and colonialism? By doing this, we will gain a better understanding of the university's colonial context, and reparations can begin. Activist groups are another way that universities and students in particular are aiming to decolonise their universities. The University of Oxford has many activist groups and movements already, such as Rose Must Fall Oxford, Why is My Curriculum White?, Unis Resist Border Control, and I Too Am Oxford. Students at the University of Oxford also created a magazine called Skin Deep as a forum for students of colour to raise themes and issues that concern them. These all aim to address the white supremacy that is deep-rooted in these institutions while fighting for a more diverse, non-Eurocentric university. Given that the University of Oxford is a majorly white institution, another important process in its decolonisation is diversifying its population, both student and staff. However, it's important to note here that this in itself is not a decolonial practice unless it leads to changes in the way that the university functions and the role that it plays in society. Another way the University of Oxford could be decolonised is by reviewing and therefore decolonising its curriculum. This would mean asking questions such as how do we run our lectures and seminars? What are we teaching in our curriculum? How do students engage with their tutors? Is our syllabus broad enough? And so forth. This process is already underway in the University of Oxford. For example, an academic at the university is hoping to decolonise the music syllabus. This means moving away from Eurocentric genres and artists, and by doing so addressing the white hegemony within its syllabus. Therefore, it is clear that the University of Oxford has already taken a number of steps in the process of decolonisation. However, it still has a long way to go and there are further reparations to be made.